Hey Scott, thanks for taking this call.
Yeah, thanks for chatting.
Well, the reason I wanted to talk to you is I still get a ton of questions from photographers about the best ways to sell prints and downloads on the websites. And NextGen Pro is becoming such a strong player in this field, so I thought who better to learn more about this from than you. You've been actively working on this.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So, most of the photographers watching this, they're aware of what NextGen Gallery does, and maybe they're aware of NextGen Pro and the e-commerce functionality it comes with. But I'm interested in talking about the Print Lab integration that you
Sure.
guys added last year. Uh, how has it been working so far? Because it's been a while. What feedback have you received for it?
So the biggest feedback we received has been need more labs, which we knew was going to happen, right? So we launched with one lab right now,
Yeah.
which is White House Custom Color. They're out of the United States. They have 4 or 6, I can't remember exactly, actual facilities across the United States, and they ship internationally, but they only offer a shipping calculator in their API for integration to the United States and to Canada, which meant that we either had to build our own or we had to for the initial release cut off international shipping.
For all
So
the possible combinations of countries everywhere, shipping costs. Yeah.
yeah,
Big
which is
pro. Yeah.
possible to build. It's just there are other labs who actually offer that calculator already in their API. So what we're going to wind up doing is we are exploring other lab options and gathering feedback from everybody of who they want in the various countries. And so the next one is probably going to be the UK.
Okay.
And the most popular request is Loxley Color. So that is likely going to be who we're going to integrate with first in the UK. And we'll go from there. We'll also need one in Canada, and we have some candidates for Canada just to reduce the cost from White House Custom Color shipping to Canada. And of course, we'll need Australia and beyond. So that has been the most popular request, oddly, only because you would think that like more print options would be a request and stuff like that, which they are, but not nearly as much as we need more labs. So that right now, basically, we've been focused on for the past 3 or 4 months since we launched this. We've been so focused on basically any bugs that come up from it beyond from what we have found in our own testing before fixing and launching. Any bugs that we might have missed that people are finding, we're fixing those as we explore the API options for all the various labs that we want to integrate with.
Okay. Sounds good. And but let's back off a bit.
Mhm.
How difficult was it to build this feature? I mean, it's WordPress, right? It
Yeah.
powers a third of the internet. Why hasn't this feature existed yet?
It was extremely difficult for a few reasons. One, you need a system that is well built for selling photos, meaning you need a system like what NextGen Gallery that has the ability to have the full size photos protected and not make those on the front end. You recently posted an article about not uploading full size photos,
Hmm.
to display on your website, and it's so true. And unfortunately, if you use a lot of the other plugins and even the built-in gallery system, if you upload a full high-res image to your site, you're asking for trouble.
Yeah.
So this first step is having a proper gallery system that can give you good organization and control over your images, good price list structure, which is what we do in NextGen Pro for creating the price lists, and making it so that your full size images are protected, but not slowing down your site. And step two um, is basically connecting to the lab through whatever API that
Hmm.
that they offer. And to do that, you need some sub steps in between. Meaning, because you have a WordPress site, um, there's no centralized server, right? Every
Yeah.
single person is utilizing their own host whatever it might be, GoDaddy, Bluehost, WP Engine, whatever it is, everybody has their own host. And the problem is, whereas a SmugMug or PhotoShelter have their own server, the photos are stored, they control everything. With WordPress, that's not how it goes down, right?
It's decentralized.
It's decentralized, yeah. So we had to build an intermediary server that all it handles is the transaction between the person, the photographer's website, and the lab. So we have this intermediary server that basically sucks out the data that has to go to the lab, makes sure that the images are cropped the way that it's selected by the customer on checkout, stuff like that, and then sent directly to the lab, and then also handle the charges back and forth of what has to be charged with the, money-wise.
So such a server is needed to handle this communication with the lab. Otherwise, it would have been a nightmare to do this for each and every site to connect directly to the print lab. It was just too much.
I don't even think it would be possible, to be honest. I don't think it would be possible to do that without such a platform in place. So it's something that the photographers don't see happening. It happens behind the scenes, and it happens. I mean, it's not like you're paying for additional storage there. You're not, it's just if you're paying for NextGen Pro with lab integration, that is there for you to use, which also actually, by the way, handles part of the transaction with the tax feature that we have as well.
Yeah, that's what on my list of questions for you is the tax calculations, which is all automatic. Yeah.
Right. So getting back to how this was built, we built the server. We then we tie in NextGen Gallery, NextGen Pro to that server, and then we also tie in the lab, right now being White House Custom Color, to the server. And part of the problem, one of the downsides to integration or the troubles with integration is when the lab changes their API mid-development, which unfortunately happened, which delayed a lot of our development time.
Right.
And basically what happened, long story short, is White House Custom Color was using Rose and started building their own system and their own API. Then they acquired ProDPI and incorporated ProDPI's stuff into it, and then everything changed. So it was almost like starting from square one, unfortunately, mid-development. So that is something we have to worry about. Now, the upside is with this, which will help in the future, is as we integrate with one lab that uses Rose, and we have no choice but to use Rose integration, it means that any other lab that uses Rose will be able to integrate with fairly quick. So, that'll be good. So, like, for example, Loxley Color, I believe, uses Rose in the Rose API, which means that in the future, after we have Loxley down, it means that, XYZ lab, who also uses Rose, could be integrated fairly quick.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay, so it sounds like we easily get into this rabbit hole of technical stuff.
Yes.
Let's just step down a bit. So with NextGen Pro, people used to be able to do self-fulfilled products.
Yep.
But now the whole magic thing is auto-fulfillment. They don't have to touch anything, right?
Unless they want to.
They still have the option.
They still have the option. I mean, for people who are in Europe right now, it's actually better for them to self-fulfill because there's no automatic international shipping calculator for them using White House. So they have no choice, actually. We literally block it, so they can't use lab integration if they're in Europe right now or Australia.
Okay, and you'll be enabling that if in the future you'll be expanding.
Yeah.
Okay, so for auto-fulfillment, for the print lab integration, let's just talk about some of the features. So first of all, it's commission-free. So people just need the NextGen Pro subscription, and that's it.
They can either get the Pro plan, which has that included, and it's an annual fee, or they can get the lifetime and literally pay once and use it forever and have lab integration forever with no commissions.
Okay, yeah. And it's important to know that photographers can they see the base prices that White House Custom Color requests, and then they can add any markup on top of that.
Yeah, anything they want. We even have a bulk markup feature, so they can say, 10% markup or 10 times markup, and it'll go across the whole price list if they want. And then they can fine tune it if they want to lower, raise, things like that.
And how does the process look like from the buyer's perspective? I think the packages they get are white labeled, right?
Correct.
No White House branding on them or something like that.
Correct. No White House branding and no Imagely branding as well. It just comes with the photographer's name on it. And the one thing that we had to do, unfortunately, because of the API aspect of it, the integration with the lab, is the lab didn't have a feature to put the photographer's name on the back of the print. You know how when you order a print, it has the copyright, and usually it's either copyright and then like the file name, or copyright and the photographer's name. It was putting Imagely's name on the back of every print with a copyright. So we actually made it blank. The only option was make it blank. There was no option to pre-fill with the photographer's white labeled information. So it'll have a copyright symbol, but it won't have anybody's name on it, unfortunately.
Okay. Well, it doesn't sound that big of a problem. It's fine. It's still white labeled.
Yeah.
Okay. I asked a bunch of photographers from my audience for extra questions for you, since I got this opportunity, about maybe other features that the plugin has or not yet. And they were, number one, other labs. We spoke about that, of course. Number two was other types of photo-based products besides the standard prints and canvases. What about that?
So right now there's no metal, like there's metallic paper, but there's no metal prints.
Okay, yeah.
So that'll be something that we want to add. We could do it with one click right now, but we felt that out of the box, like out of the gate with launching the lab integration, that we should keep the product list as small as possible and as using the most popular choices that photographers use right away. And then we can eventually open it up to more.
Okay.
There is the ability that we could do down the road, do things like the press books and things like that, but that will require a whole nother user interface that's not currently made. But, as we get labs down and we see those feature requests slowly diluting for additional labs, then we can start focusing on more out of the ordinary products, USB drives.
Because
like
the current interface is built for image downloads, for single image files, basically, and other products need more info. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
Another set of questions I got was about performance. Performance in general, how the plugin handles things. This is not really specific to the PrintLab integration, as with NextGen Pro in general, and how a performance or a caching plugin like WP Rocket or any other one can handle the plugin, and maybe lazy loading, which kind of is a separate thing.
Yeah. So let's start with lazy loading. Lazy loading, we have one gallery display type called Mosaic that actually has lazy loading built in. Okay. We are going to be porting that over to other galleries as we get back to the coding for the display types and not lab integration. And we also have pagination on some of them. So eventually our hope is to basically give an option for either or per gallery. That's the plan. We just have to get to that point.
Okay.
It works perfectly with WP Rocket Cache. There's one thing with WP Rocket Cache that's my favorite caching plugin. So
mine too.
Nothing bad about it at all, but it does not always detect minified files. So if you're going to minify your files, you need to look at every single JavaScript file and every CSS file that is coming from any plugin and any theme, and make sure you whitelist them, because it doesn't always catch it, and sometimes you're double minifying and then things break.
Yeah. And when it tries to combine the minified files, and then, especially with JavaScript, you run into error. Yeah.
Yeah. So every file that NextGen produces is minified. So, you just don't want to risk breaking things with that. And we see it a lot, that people just don't dig into the fine tuning. They just install it and think it's good. Now, as far as speed goes, we've done and I can share the link with you after we get off the call, the recording, and you can share this with everybody. We did a comprehensive speed test, and we are keeping the test sites live, and every few months we're going to be updating and rerunning all the numbers. But NextGen Gallery is the fastest gallery plugin available, and it blows away the competition. And it's because of the way that we've future coded it. We've done it in ways that are actually make the browsers load things faster, and we're adding in these lazy loading features and
minification and combining CSS files and all of that, I assume.
So we actually don't combine CSS files and JavaScript files because people are finding that it actually modern browsers, Chrome, Safari, they actually load things faster with multiple smaller files.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's not one big file to transfer. They do multiple threads, multiple downloads.
Yeah, exactly. So it's funny, when we first launched the revamp of NextGen Gallery a few years ago, we got a lot of people talking about how we're doing it the way we're doing it, and that I think it's running slower. And yes, there was some slowness going on, and we actually discovered the reason why there was slowness, and we fixed that. But really, in reality, now all the other plugins outside of Gallery, just in general, are starting to go in the direction we're going. So it's kind of funny that like it's a complete 360. We were already headed that direction, and now everybody else is trying to follow suit. But yeah, so there's this full speed test comprehensive article we did, and you can see the live results, you can see the live demos, and how fast things load. It's,
Great. I'll be sure to share that as well. Another question, which I'm sure you got, was about Retina screens, high DPI screens. Yeah.
So it has NextGen Pro has and NextGen Plus have Retina built in. You need to turn on image resizing and the backup originals, which you want on for e-commerce anyway, because you want to be able to sell from that original and then resize for the front end. When you do that, it's going to create a couple additional sizes, and on a Retina screen, it's going to show the Retina size, and on a non-Retina screen, it's going to show the standard. Simple as that.
It's perfect. And you've kind of pre-answered my next question, which is what size of an image should people upload? And the answer for PrintLab integration is their maximum file, the original file. And the plugin backs it up and just delivers a lower res version for the website.
Yeah, and when you install NextGen Gallery, and right away we start you with a default front end size. I don't remember exactly what the size is offhand, but it's not too big, not too small. And the worth noting on the full size, the one that's backed up, is we won't allow you to sell prints with lab integration or digital downloads if the size if the print size is too large for the file, or if the digital download is too large for the file. It's not going to allow you to sell that. It'll stop it. So that way you're not selling something that's too low of quality, either digitally or in print. If you do manual print fulfillment, then there's no limit, of course.
You have full control to sell low-res files. Yeah, it sounds like a good decision with prints, because you control the quality that way.
Yeah.
And one last interesting question I got from a photographer was they're a stock photographer and they kind of already have a huge image archive somewhere else. How would WordPress and NextGen in particular be equipped to handle that? Like, I'm talking tens of thousands of images or more.
Yeah. So NextGen Gallery is not designed to be a stock platform, but it can definitely sell digital downloads. No problem. It has a license feature where you can set a licensing page and have that in there. And then you can make multiple products for the, multiple digital download products for sizes and licenses if you want. And there's tagging. So if you wanted to allow people to, see it, images just with a specific tag, you can do that. There's even third-party extensions that add a front-end search. And it's actually something that we're exploring to build into the plugin as well. As far as getting the images there, if your originals are in Lightroom, then you can just literally install our Lightroom plugin, move your collections and your collection sets to the publishing service for Imagely, and you could just publish all of your collection sets turn into what's called albums inside of NextGen Gallery, and then your collections become galleries. So albums can hold multiple galleries and albums, and it's an infinite amount of subdirectories. So moving it wise, if you're using Lightroom, it's real easy, and it's just a matter of republishing and waiting, because if you're on a shared host, it's going to go a lot slower than it will if you're on a faster host and things like that.
Yeah. So it sounds like the limit is WordPress in general, the ability to upload the images, to transfer the files. Yeah.
Yeah, that's your limit. Once it's there, NextGen Gallery and NextGen Pro can handle selling that no problem at all.
Well, it sounds really good. I think it's a big step for the WordPress space for photographers. Last question is, where do you think WordPress is still behind? It's what features do you think WordPress doesn't yet have that maybe other dedicated platforms do, and there's still some catching up to do?
Feature-wise, I feel like WordPress is really ahead. Core feature-wise, I think WordPress is ahead of everybody else. Now, of course, there's always going to be things that could be added on. Something that I wish that was better, that existed better in WordPress, which I found one that works well, and I like it, but is a really good booking plugin, right? I currently use Square and just send people to my Square booking page. There's also Calendly and a bunch of other schedule ones and stuff. But there's a plugin called Amelia that I've been testing that I've actually got an article coming on the Imagely blog, I think next week, on this plugin. And it's probably the most beautiful booking plugin I've seen with WordPress. But if you were to look for a free booking plugin, none of them are that great. So I feel like WordPress is lacking for a booking system for free, for people who need something that's free. But there's a CRM. I have tried so many CRMs, customer relationship management systems for WordPress. I've tried them all, and none of them are really that great. So that's another place that WordPress could get something that is better. And I mean, the company Automatic, who makes WordPress.com and a bunch of Jetpack, and they just acquired what's probably the best CRM plugin for WordPress. So hopefully that acquisition helps improve it. But still, right now I don't know. There's nothing great in that side of things. Yeah.
Okay. Good. Great answers. I thought I sent you a curveball with that last question. It's WordPress. I'm a big fan of WordPress. It's such more powerful, and with PrintLab integration, I feel many people are happier nowadays. Thanks for the answers. You've been generous with your time, and talk to you again soon.
Yeah. Thanks for chatting.